Hello and welcome back to another episode of Awaken, Heal and Transform with your host, me, Francesca. Today, I have a very special guest who will be joining us. Her name is Chelsea, and she is an amazing spiritual entrepreneur. She is the founder of Be the Shift, founder of Faerie Collective, and she even owns her own yoga studio in Denver. And she has also written a book on bees. So it's my absolute pleasure to have her on the podcast episode today. And she's going to be sharing with us her transformational journey and talking to us about how she helps spiritual entrepreneurs find their purpose and step into their power. So let's welcome the beautiful Chelsea. Hello, Chelsea. Thank you so much for joining today, and really appreciate you taking your time out to join us on Awaken, Heal and Transform. So firstly, just to introduce how I kind of connected with you was through Instagram, and I don't know why, but something just really drew me to you, and I started reading up about some of the things that you do and your story, and that really resonated with me in regards to the whole idea of feeling like you're living two lives and not being able to align your passion and your purpose, or just finding that difficult to be able to do. So that's one of the main reasons why I really wanted to chat with you, was around that topic and your transformational journey. So please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, thank you so much for reaching out. This is really the way of our divine feminine connecting and weaving webs, especially through social media. And I feel like more and more we're able to find people that we resonate with, and we're really on this journey together of really deepening the collective consciousness and what's available. So yeah, for me, a huge part of my transformation journey, we had these different checkpoints and levels. And a huge thing for me was when I was really thinking about my next moves. And for whatever reason, I got called to join and do a death doula certification. And, it's interesting because the woman who started the Conscious Dying Center, Taryn Estes here in Boulder, she, I've known her my whole life, and we had little death and dying retreats at my house growing up. But I never really knew my connection with death was going to go, so deep. And I ended up doing this death doula certification. And one of the questions she asked is, if you have 3 months to live, how would you live your life? Spiritually, emotionally, mentally, practically, physically, what would that look like? And that was the moment where I was like, I don't want to go to social work school. And then I got drawn to divinity school. And I love that I can travel, but this doesn't feel good. And I think just any time I'm at a crossroads, it's if I have 3 months to live, what would I regret not doing? Or what would I, what's truly my dharma, what's truly my calling? And so I ended up dropping out of a high prestige social work school and becoming a chaplain at divinity school and working in hospice for a while. And a huge part of my mission in college was around helping the bees. And now my mission has just been to weave this colony and remind us that we are on this one colony of a planet. So with keeping the end in mind, or eternal life, however you see that.
That is so awesome. Tell me a little bit more about the death. So what is that? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so a death doula really is someone, we call it a sacred passage doula, and someone who can really navigate this time of transition. And for me, working in hospice was wonderful. It really put so much in perspective for me. And I ended up writing my thesis in my master's on green burials. And really, what does it mean to, instead of putting all this concrete around us and pesticides and formaldehyde, what does it look like to go back into the earth and be a part of the system. And then it's like, okay, if I want to be composted as love, what does that mean for my whole life? What does it mean for what I'm putting in my body now? What's going to go back in the soil to feed the bees? What does it mean of what thoughts I'm integrating in my mind and my body? And so it really has become a mission of being like a death doula, of bringing just this consciousness to the forefront of humanity without actually having to do passages. And this time of COVID, when death has been so on the horizon, on the main forefront of the stage of consciousness, and it really, we've been brought to quite a confrontation with our relationship with death, dying, and any fears that surround that topic. So I kind of knew this might come to fruition a long time ago. I was like, wow, it feels like people need to just know death. We are like, death is part of our being. And then in the priestess lineage I'm in, and Sophia code work I'm in, it's really about eternal life, and there really is no death. So just navigating this as a way of being has been
Liberating.
my life. Yeah. Yeah. And
Sounds,
liberating.
yeah.
Absolutely liberating. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds so liberating to just understand that we are already dead in so many ways. If you think about it, because we keep on living, like you said, so death is just another transformation that we go through, just like all of the transformational journeys that we go through in life. And I really liked what you said about when you think of transformation, think and ask yourself the question: if you had 3 to 5 months to live, what would you be doing? Because they say it takes 21 days to change a habit or change a sort of mindset. So if you think about that, you've got 21 days to make those sort of mindset habitual changes, and then you can automatically change your life within those 3 months. So if we're going to think about transforming today, well, by those 3 months, if you're going to stick it out, you will already transform massively. So that's a really, really great question, to all of the viewers. Actually, I love that. I also wanted to talk about your breakthrough moments, as well. So does that kind of tie into what you were talking about, with it all starting with the death doula?
Yeah, that was one of the major pivotal moments for me. And right now, I mean, I'm at a point where, I have multiple little side gigs going on, and I never thought I wanted a brick and mortar, because that's so much about the free spirit, how to, free spirits, and living this laptop lifestyle anywhere. Like, you kind of like, I've kind of been warned against having a brick and mortar, and now all of a sudden this yoga studio, pretty much got so I just stepped into this role of this owner of this yoga studio, and that was not really something I had intended to do. They offered it to my mom. She didn't want to do it. She said her daughter has, so some people know me here. It's Iyengar lineage, and Iyengar is very really deep practice that not a lot of people know about, and it's also really foundational. And it just was one of those moments where it's like, I could have all these logical reasons why I don't want to do this. I have to drive here. It's an investment. It's all this responsibility. I have other things going on. But when I get to a point of, I am a conduit for this divine feminine, Sophia Christ consciousness, whatever, God consciousness working through me, my job is to say yes. My role here, knowing I have this short life on this environmental masterclass of being human, in this university, it's like, my role is to say yes and know that this is my dharma.
Mm.
Know that all this money going into this is all, like, that is abundance, to write bigger checks and bigger checks, and know if it's in your dharma, of course it's going to come back tenfold, and you're investing for the benefit of all. So it's these breakthrough moments happen on a daily basis for me, of just being willing to surrender into this dragon ride that's riding me. It's like, okay, like clearly I don't have all the answers in my logical brain, so just surrender because I'm here and just show up. I mean, with all my human feelings about it, the only thing is show up.
Love that. So
Show
the
up.
ability to break through is the willingness to surrender.
Willingness.
Mm.
Yeah, surrender for sure.
Yes, I love that. I feel like that's also such a massive concept since the whole pandemic as well, because we have all been forced to surrender. So really, it should be something that we are becoming a little bit more comfortable with as a collective, to be able to just step away from those real attachments and outcomes to what we're going to do, because the uncertainty has been so heightened in the last few years. So yeah, to everyone listening, that's it. Surrender is the key here, isn't it, to the breakthrough moments, to allowing the opportunities to come through. Like you said, you didn't expect to have the yoga studio, you took it on the chin, you just went, yes, I have the opportunity. If opportunities come through, the best thing is you go for it, giving it all you've got. But if if it doesn't work, okay, great, no, but take the experience on board and move on. Right? I mean, obviously you're not going to look at anything like that, but for you taking this on, it's a new venture for you, right? And you don't know what's going to happen. That's exciting. That's an exciting breakthrough moment in itself. But even so, no matter what, you can still just say, hey, I've done it, I've done what I've done, and you've given everything that you've got with it. So I love that. That's really great.
My great grandmother is like, I don't know if you're brilliant or stupid. Here you are doing another endeavor. It's like we talk every Sunday. She's like, what? You're doing what again? You're doing something else. And my dad's always been like, what? You're a fairy? Because I have a fairy collective divinity school. What, Sophia Co? What, are you, a guru? Oh, got a yoga studio. Your mom had yoga studios. Like, what are you thinking? And it's like, I mean, what am I going to say, Dad? Like,
I mean, I completely resonate with that 100%, because I'm always taking on new things. I literally work. I don't see it as work though, so that's the thing. So it's kind of like, everyone always says to me like, "Oh, you're always working." I'm like, "But it's not work. Like, it's amazing. It's fun. It's like I'm exploring, and I'm doing all these things at the same time." And I feel like in the past, it's kind of shunned upon to do so many different things, and people tell you like, you need to stick to your one path, or society specifically, like, yeah, you have to stick to that one path and stick it out. If you don't like it, you get that good job. But I never was like that, and I used to kind of be ashamed that I didn't have that one thing, and since starting this kind of journey and connecting with so many amazing people, I'm noticing that their stories are more and more like mine, and it just makes me feel so much better. And actually knowing that all of the things I've been through is part of my whole spiritual path or spiritual journey, or just me being me in living out my purpose. So that actually leads me on to the next kind of question of topic here, is about be the shift. Right? Okay, so now I can understand the connection with bees, obviously from what you studied and what you wrote about, and I know that you've written a book on bees as well. But this sounds like an amazing platform for being able to fuel spiritual entrepreneurs on their sort of transformational journey. So tell us a little bit more about this and what made you start it and how it's going.
yeah, I really appreciate you bringing in this kind of weaves in, but talking about the jack of all trades, master of none kind of projection. It's like I get this all the time from my very successful, dad and stepmom, and it's like I was like, no, actually, I'm a Jill of all trades and a master of one colony. And my LLC that this yoga studio is under is One Colony LLC, and then also I have Be the Shift. And when COVID was really, in its full swing, I started a 30-day coaching series called Shift Happens, and really just normalizing shift and normalizing non-attachment to identity, normalizing that every day is a shifting experience. And that's the only normal as we know. And so Shift Happens was really fun, did it for a couple seasons. And then it just is like, well, shift happens. That feels like not really proactive. So now it feels like, we've had this experience, and now we really get to take what we've learned and be the shift. We're birthing this new golden age of miracles. We're birthing this new paradigm. So how do we actually take anything that's become more clear to us of our dharma, of our path, of what's really lighting us up, and following that as we're all these puzzle pieces making this collective vision of what we're creating. So, Be the Shift is for spiritual entrepreneurs and people who are just, as we know, spiritual business and spiritual practice are really all one. And getting some tools and tricks and tips from seasoned entrepreneurs who, want to really make sure that we're doing this with health in mind. We're doing this with some, skills. Like we're all just trying to help each other out here. So it's, I just have it set up so you can watch some free little clips on Be the Shift. It's BEE the Shift on YouTube, and they're just coming out every 2 weeks. And just a little Patreon community too for the full recordings. And it's just fun. It's fun for me to interview people, as you've explored too, and we're just learning from each other, walking each other home.
Right.
So, yeah.
That is so right. And it just really, really helps to connect with like-minded people. I cannot stress that enough. Especially when you're going through the shift or going through transformation. Yeah, but a lot of the old ways of being, or old people that related to the old ways of being, become a little bit harder to relate to, or you feel a little bit less understood in that aspect. It's almost like a dying of self, or sense of self. So yeah, basically that is what is so important about finding like-minded people, so that that whatever you're going through is okay. And there are people that can relate to you, and you're never going to be alone, even though you're not alone anyway, because there's always yourself, your spirit guides. It's great because humanity, we need a sense of belonging, and any types of community like you creating Be the Shift, and every type of community and collective coming together is just exactly what we need at this moment in time, in the world where it is so disconnected as well.
Yeah, so, I've kind of said there's like your biological family, and then there's your spiritual family, because your biological family is going to challenge you. It's going to challenge the shift out of you.
It's a constant test. Yeah. It's the constant test of being, sometimes it's hardest to be vulnerable with the people closest to you, because they're the ones that you want to either like please the most or whatever. It's tough. So tell us a little bit about what you offer on a one-to-one basis.
Right now I'm doing less one-to-one coaching. I am certified as a coach. I have gotten more into group facilitation, and the next offerings. So I have a Faerie collective. So that's kind of like the gateway to entrepreneurship. And it's funny because these fairies are free spirits, and then they're like, wait, I'm not actually disciplined enough to be a free spirit. It does take discipline to get that freedom. It does take consistency. It does take sacred scheduling, I like to call it, and sticking through and following through with something. So doing Faerie Hair Sparkles has been, my way to connect with folks. And I'll be offering these Sophia Code Circle facilitations here. It'll be in a group setting. So I may start offering one-on-one sessions again. I definitely feel the calling for people needing support, and I do get a lot of messages with people needing some extra support. I really do feel so much synergy happens when we're in a group and doing things. And as far as the Sophia Code Circles, what I love about that is it takes me out of it. I'm facilitating, but really it's the Ascended Masters that are getting to do that work, and I just get to follow a blueprint. So, like finding ways to take any ego out of it, and just holding, I really am watching that word, not holding a space, but creating spaces for folks to, get the support they need with the synergy and guides here. So if I do have one-on-one sessions, it'll be on betheshift.earth. but right now it just says coming soon for one-on-one sessions.
Okay, exciting.
Yeah.
I wanted to share obviously what everything that you do, because you do loads of different things which I love, and obviously, like I said, resonate with, because so do I. And so the fact that you've got your yoga studio, are you a yoga teacher as well, or are you just just have to ask that question?
Yeah, I'm a third generation yoga teacher. My mom and grandmother also are yoga teachers, and I I am certified. I got my mystical yoga teacher training in Peru.
Mm,
Um, but the only place I really taught was when I was a wilderness therapy guide, and yeah, and I'm also a certified meditation instructor that I got through my divinity program. So I might do some meditation here. That would be my number one. I'm
mhm,
less interested in teaching yoga here, more interested in spearheading my little fairy scene here and little fairy marketplace and Sophia code circles, and bring people into this Iyengar method, which is, honestly, could die very easily. It's very possible it could completely die out without people knowing about it. And I feel like that's my mission, is to make sure that people get this opportunity for this, foundational lineage of a practice. So
mm.
anyways, yeah, I'm certified, but not really, that's not my focus right now.
Fair enough. No, there's
Yeah.
bigger and better things to go by, and more that needs to be learned, about things that people aren't maybe as aware of as well, because I'm not too familiar with some of the things that you're speaking about. So I'm happy for you to elaborate as well, just for my own understanding, but for the purpose of everyone else as well.
I mean, it's just really, really cool. I mean, it's one thing to go to a hot yoga class or a vinyasa flow class, but these teachers that are at the studio are like, they've been practicing for 20 to 30 years. They've gone to India multiple times to get their certification. Are um, they've been doing pranayama, which is breath works, like
Yeah.
never missing a day since 1994. And these are people who live their practice. And we're kind of coming in our generation with a lot of anxiety, a lot of ADHD, a lot of depression, brain fog, lack of commitment to a long-term practice because there's so many options.
Mm,
And so the little motto I want to offer here is discipline is the doorway to freedom, kind of like I was saying, and really highlight these master practitioners who are so humble and have only been really teaching to seniors, and now we get the opportunity to branch it to younger people as something like I would love to see everyone off pharmaceuticals, and I've done some nutrition work as well, and really see people heal their gut and find practices that are really deepening their joints and mobility beyond just a fast moving class.
mm,
So there's a lot of opportunity in philosophy, deepening with the philosophy, deepening the spirituality connection, so we don't feel so alone in this world, is all something I aim to provide here.
mm.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, definitely. I will definitely come visit you, and hopefully see how amazing your yoga studio is all set up with all of its decorations, in the fairy style, as you say, which is super exciting and very playful, which I love.
Iyengar is very strict and like white walls and so simple, and I'm like,
Yeah, got to be some
like, well, you wouldn't have asked a divine feminine priestess style person to come in and run a 20-year more patriarchal lineage if you didn't want me to change things up a bit. So I might as well step into being me.
100%. Always be you. Add that little bit of flavor in everything that you do. So that's going to be awesome. When's it all going to be ready?
I mean, classes are already going. We're kind of just implementing things step by step, and constantly doing these little renovations. And I really want to call it a therapeutic and wellness colony,
Mm-hmm.
and really get this colony vibe in, and move people through really fun programs, and come in tight, take flight, leave light,
I
do some
love that.
here, do some aerial yoga, have a good time.
Mm.
So yeah, I mean, really it's just showing up every day and smiling at my fear.
And
Yeah.
ultimately transforming everyone that walks in and out of the door, from walking in and being transformed on the way out, because the more you do those type of practices, the more it changes your mind and your body and your, like, everything, and you just become more aligned, I would say, isn't it? It's becoming into that alignment of self or higher
Yeah.
self. Mm.
And the nutrition company I've been partner with for a couple of years, they're called the Transformation Company, transformation of our bodies and our health, and also our financial abilities to thrive. There's no reason that yoga teachers need to be striving. Like, why not be super wealthy yoga teachers? And watching my mom struggle with her financials all these years as a yoga teacher, it's just, I want to see a different way. I
Mm-hmm.
want to see wellness practitioners be the leading financial, conduits, spreading their love and heart, and also transformation of this planet, and being composted as love in everything we do, being more cognizant of how we're using our materials in this world. So, and the one product that I super love that this company carries is, I think it's the only thing on the market, but it gets pesticides out of the gut.
Mm.
And Roundup, glyphosate, which is the leading ingredient in Roundup, just totally tears up the gut and can't absorb nutrients, and it creates a lot of depression and things. So, yeah, we really get an opportunity now to step into what's available, and and be the shift and lead the way with everything we eat and connect about,
Mm.
and share with one another. It's really exciting. It's an exciting time to be alive.
Yeah, absolutely. I can hear the passion in your voice, and that's what it's all about, thriving through that passion and sharing your own passion with others and encouraging other people to step up as well.
Waking up to our divine sovereignty, which is all about what the Sophia Code is doing, is activating our crystalline chromosomes, like awakening our divine sovereignty. Because when someone is sovereign, you can't touch them, with anything. There's, even if you think you're harming me, when you're in your sovereign eternal being, there's just no touching what this light and sound, like, I am nothing, and I'm everything, and I'm God at the same time. So that's where that comes from. And we don't get so harmed or putting up these walls, and we just get to awaken to our sovereignty. So we're really in a moment in time where we get to step into our sovereignty. And whether you get I've kind of been curious about this vaccine and things like that, but it's like, either way, we can always change our molecular formula. We're water. If you get the vaccine and you feel this is really going to serve me, I get to show up bigger, show up greater in my purpose, get it with all the love and light in the world. If you get it with a fear, how is that going to affect you? So really, whether you get the vaccine or not, or do whatever we need to do to keep showing up, how do we get it in a way that's still promoting the love and light that we're putting into our body?
Yeah.
How are we blessing our water? And we get that opportunity to change that. We are so much powerful than we give ourselves credit for.
Wow, that is such an amazing message, because likewise, massive topic of conversation, but you're absolutely right. Like, we still have the power of choice, and we have to remember that. And even if we do have to have it, we have the power to change that. So I love what you've just said there, and that's really, really, oh, it's actually made me think, like, okay, I can get it if I have to. I mean, I'm definitely longing out. Trust me, I'm only gonna have it until the law is changed, and or it's gonna prevent me from traveling. Like, I don't want anything to prevent me from traveling. But
I think that's the main thing for us at this point. It's like, well, if it gets in my way of traveling, once again, if I had 3 months to live, would I like to not get this vaccine and be stuck in my home? Or would I like to get it with love and light, and, knowing I can always reshift these cells that are in my body and nurture them, and travel and live my best life, and spread these wings as big as they're meant to fly. So yeah, we get to do that, and we get to make that shift in just consciousness. And I totally hear where you're coming from, because I've been kind of on the same. I'm like, oh, if I have to. So, yeah. So, but it's really, how do I shift that? So I'm not arguing with family members or whatever. It's just like, you do you, go travel. if you feel safe, that's awesome. If you feel good, that's awesome. You know, this is kind of where we're at now. It's the ultimate human test.
Going back to the surrender, as well as surrendering with others, because ultimately we all have the power of choice. So and we know what's right for us, what we think is right for us. So, and we also all have the ability to heal. We are all our own healers.
Yes,
so
exactly.
Important. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been amazing having you. You've made some really great points that I feel like are super relevant for right now, which has helped me and for sure will help a bunch of listeners listening to this as well, to just shift this big word, but shift their perception into understanding their inner power, or our true power. So thank you so much, Chelsea. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for the initiative, and looking forward to interviewing you on Be the Shift and learning more about you as well.
Thank you so much.
Much love. Thanks, sister.
Love.